Thursday, January 30th, 2020. I am Yael Avi, and these are the Cryptosphere's top stories for today. The SEC says donuts have more value than Telegram's tokens in a new court filing. Ransomware is rampant in the United States, and lawmakers are beginning to step up. And later, is porn the killer app for Lightning Network adoption? Now, all the money raised in Telegram's $1.7 billion ICO does not give its Gram tokens any inherent value. The SEC claimed that in a recently submitted court filing. The lawyers are not pulling punches, so to speak, and BLOCKTV's senior correspondent, Asher Westrup-Evans, is here with the latest on this landmark case that the entire sphere is looking at. Asher, what can you tell us about the latest from the SEC, which doesn't sound good?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Yael. They are certainly not pulling their punches, and as we get closer and closer to that February 18th, 19th court date, they're really setting up a case, the SEC, that is not putting Telegram in what we can say is a considerably nice light.
Yeah.
So one of the key quotes to come out of that particular latest memo filed by the SEC was, and I'll read directly, Telegram's attempt to avoid this economic truth by labeling grams commodities also fails. Grams are not commodities. Unlike gold, comic books, and Krispy Kreme donuts, commodities, Telegram compares to grams. Grams have no intrinsic value. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty damning sentiment to come from the SEC.
I was about to say, that's incredibly harsh language and very definitive, one can say, from a federal agency.
Right, certainly. Say no intrinsic value. I mean, it's an interesting light to give in the sense of the sort of modern crypto landscape when we've seen what's happened with Bitcoin over the last 11 years, for originally being compared to just a hobby and a plaything to now being an industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars. It's fascinating the SEC is taking this approach, but it shows the hardline nature that they're taking. Furthermore, going on as Telegram has had to give out certain financial details in relation to this filing, certain investors have been named, and the SEC is questioning who these investors are on the basis of who would work as a validator for nodes in the Telegram network and who is just investing for the purpose of what the SEC claims is to just get access to Telegram, invest in Telegram in an indirect way, which would lend much more to the securities side of the argument. Exactly. The SEC has been trying to make, and in compliance with the Howey test, it would fail at in terms of not being labeled as a security.
To say the least, just to recap this, the next court date for all of the for the showdown in court would be?
The big court date, February 18th and 19th.
Which we will be following closely. Asher Westrup-Evans, thank you for this report. Now, former Bakkt CEO Kelly Lafleur, who has recently entered politics as Georgia's Republican senator, received quite the shout-out from Donald Trump when the President of the United States favorably called her out in a Rose Garden presser at the White House yesterday.
Really great. They already like you a lot. That's what the word is. Thank you, Kelly. Martha?
Now, many in the cryptosphere jumped on the occasion to muse whether the President of the United States is close to warming up to crypto, just as he is warming up to Lafleur. Sadly, the kudos had nothing to do with Lafleur's past affiliation to cryptocurrencies, rather the ongoing impeachment trial in Washington, D.C. Lafleur, who is all of a month into her job and very much hopes to get reelected, lashed out at one of her fellow Republicans, Senator Mitt Romney of Utah, for pressing to subpoena Mr. Bolton, accusing her colleague of wanting to appease the left by calling witnesses who will slander the real Donald Trump his handle during their 15 minutes of fame. She added, "The circus is over," in a post on the president's favorite platform, Twitter. The president clearly liked the tweet and not her connection to Bitcoin, or in other words, folks, not everything's about us. A new hire by Coinbase is making waves in the sphere. As announced this week, Surjit Chatterjee, former product leader of Google Shopping, left the Alphabet mothership to become chief product officer at Coinbase, the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the United States. Chatterjee has worked for Google for 11 years, holding various roles. He also worked as a product leader at Flipkart, an Indian online shop. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong said that this particular role actually was a more valuable experience from the exchange's perspective than Google. Chatterjee's main long-term objective is to make cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin mainstream. The goal is to promote digital currencies to the point where they become ordinary options for paying for goods and services. Good luck to all of them. Half of all organizations in the United States were targeted by hackers who are able to successfully use phishing attacks and ransomware, according to a recently released report by cybersecurity research firm Proofpoint. BLOCKTV's crime reporter Yona Hochhauser is here with us and with the details on the state of the phish report. Yona, Pretty astounding stuff.
Exactly. Listen, I'm the crime reporter here. I knew that there were a lot of ransom attacks in 2019. It seemed like every week. What I did not know until this report came out was that 50 or over 50%, I think it's like 52% of private and public organizations in the US were attacked by ransomware attacks. The number is astronomical. A couple other good tidbits from this report was that those who were attacked, 69% who paid, because the ransomware attacks, they lock your files, they say pay us money and we'll unlock them for you. 69% who did pay actually got their files unlocked, which, depending how you look at it, is either a good number
I was going to say that's a frightening thing, but okay.
Or a bad number. And then 22% who paid were given no access to the files after the fact. And this is exactly why, as of now, government recommendations and recommendations by private security firms as well as public agencies is if you are attacked by ransomware, do not pay the ransom, because that only promotes and incentivizes these attackers to do some more. But luckily, because of this uptick in attacks, especially towards public organizations, the governments are finally getting on board with passing legislation against it. So Maryland, which houses, or in which Baltimore resides, Baltimore famously lost $18 million to ransomware attacks early in the year. They're trying to pass a bill that makes it illegal to possess ransomware. Now, I'm not sure how much more attacks or criminals will be ensnared in this, that our cops going to go around checking people's laptops. I'm not sure, but luckily this is at least some first steps towards trying to curb it. New York, on the other hand, is actually making it, or trying to pass a bill to make it illegal for anyone to use taxpayer money to pay the ransom. So hey, if you're a government office or agency or even a public private place, and you do get attacked by ransomware, they're trying to make it that, hey, you can't dip into the taxpayer coffers. You have insurance, they're going to cover it. Okay, maybe you have somewhere to talk. But they want to make sure that taxpayers do not
end up paying for this. Definitely. Yonah Hochhauser, thank you for this report. For years, the Sphere has been looking for the best use case for mass adoption, and maybe, just maybe, porn is the answer. Oran Spitzer has all the details in the following report.
Bitcoin may finally gain traction through the adult entertainment industry in 2020, but the dominoes are not exactly falling into place, according to Coindesk. Although websites like Pornhub found a savior in crypto after famously having trouble paying performers with PayPal in 2019, now allowing those performers to cash out with Tether instead. Other typical industry businesses like strip clubs have stopped accepting Bitcoin because customers simply weren't using it for payment. But the Lightning Network, a second-layer solution for faster transactions with lower fees, could potentially facilitate broader payments for online platforms of this nature. There are now plenty of service providers that offer fiat on-ramp solutions. Veronica Mishura, marketing manager at payment processor CoinGate, claims that her startup processed 1,400 Lightning invoices in 2019 for clients like adult industry sites Live Jasmine and KuMeet, with the average payment being worth around €12. So far, small businesses accept Lightning payments mostly for the curiosity factor. But since those adult performers and curious merchants rarely cash out in crypto, it's still too early to gauge whether the benefits will be significant.
And never mind porn, it's time for Troll of the Day, and Zachy Hennessy is here to explain what Google's doing wrong now.
It's always something, Yael. In a guest post on dailyhodl.com, Bitcoin Blast team member Amy Wan lamented the sudden removal of their Bitcoin Rewards app and gaming app from the Google Play Store. This is a huge hit to the team, who have been working hard to grow their app for months. Now, apparently, in order to justify the takedown, Google cited deceptive behavior. Now, considering the mega corporation's track record, including takedowns with little to no explanation like this one, I'd say that Google ought to take a look at their own terms and services before they wind up taking themselves off the Play Store. Just kidding. Google wouldn't hold itself accountable for something like that. It would be very bad for business, Yael.
Zachy, I tend to completely agree, but had you said all of this naked, it would have worked much better. Thank you, Zachy. That was Around the Block for today. Thank you for watching. For more blockchain, tech, and cryptocurrency news, visit us at BLOCKTV.com.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.